Good afternoon. It is Wednesday and we are going to continue with Math Lesson 20. You should be following along in your instructional books on page 186. Let's read the problem at the top of your page. How much shorter in inches is the eraser than the crown? What is this problem about? Okay, it wants to know in inches how much shorter the eraser is. Let's read it again. How much shorter in inches is the eraser than the crown? What are we trying to find out? Okay, how much shorter the eraser is than the crown. Okay, we're trying to find out how many inches it is. Okay, so like yesterday, when it asked us how much longer an object was, it wanted us to find the difference. And when we find the difference, that means we are subtracting. Now, can I reword this and ask how much longer is the crown than the eraser in inches? Sure, it is the same thing. So, read it one more time to yourself, please. Great, that was some good reading. Okay, what information is important here? Okay, I know, yep, inches. I need to measure in inches. That's important to know so I can use the correct side of my ruler. And I'm using the inch side and I'm not measuring in centimeters. Okay, it wants to know how much shorter the eraser is. Okay, so I'm looking for shorter here. Okay, great job. So, as we said, in our problem here, we are trying to find the difference, which means I can subtract. So, we're going to solve this problem, and there may be different ways to solve this problem. You may find a different way in solving the problem than I solved the problem, and that's okay. We're going to get to the same answer. The first most important thing, before I can solve this problem, I have to measure each of my objects. So I'm going to get my ruler out. I'm going to make sure that it is on the inch side. And I see here my ruler says inches. I'm going to line up the 0 with the end of my crown here. And then I'm going to kind of move my ruler up so that it is at the very edge of the crown. And it says here, oops, and it's kind of hard, make sure my ruler doesn't move or I'll get bad measurement. So here, it's close to the 6. So I'm going to say that this crown is about 6 inches. And I'm just going to write it here. Okay, now I'm going to measure my eraser. Once again, I'm going to line up the 0 with the edge of the eraser. And I'm going to make my mark at the edge here. Well, my mark is here, and as you can see, that is closest to the 2. So I'm going to write that my eraser is about 2 inches. Now what I need to know is the distance from here to here. Okay, how much further is that? What is in this space? That is what I'm trying to solve. And there are different ways we can solve this problem. The first way I can solve this problem is simply just to subtract. So if I subtract, I'm going to write 6 minus 2 equals 4 inches. Now I know the book it's looking a little different when we get to the measure part, but we'll get there in a minute. Okay, another way I can solve this problem is I can use my ruler like we do a number line, and I can count on till I get to 6. So if I'm using my ruler as a number line, 2 inches is how long my eraser is, and 6 inches is how long the crown is. And then I can count 1, 2, 3, 4. Once again, that gives me 4 inches. Now I started at the 2 because that is the length of my eraser. And I stopped here at 6 because that is the length of my crown. And all I want to know is the space in between. That gives me the difference between the two objects. Okay, so let's look at the first measure on page 186. Here, they measured a little differently. I'm guessing that the crown in my example was a little bit bigger than the crown in your book. So it measures it for you. It measured the object, the crown they put at 5 inches, the eraser at 2 inches. Okay, so they measured it, and here, once again, you can subtract to find the difference. Okay, 5 minus 2 equals 3 inches. Okay, let's look at your second measure it. A second way to do it is to line up your eraser with the end of the crown. So here, right here, they have the eraser and the crown lined up together. And then they use their ruler at the end here of the eraser to the end of the crown here. And that gave them the space in between, which was 3 inches. Now the space in between here is the difference between the two objects. Do you think it's easier to find the difference by subtracting it or by measuring it? Okay, so it depends on your objects. If they can sit side by side, it might be easier that way. You gotta line them up. If I measure each object, then I don't have to line up my objects together and make sure they stay nice and straight. So, you know, it may be easier for you to measure it, and other people it may be easier just to line them up and measure the difference. Okay. Now look at the first measurement, the measure it, which is this one here. This is the first one, where they measured each object on its own. Okay, it says, explain how to find how much shorter the eraser is than the crown. Okay, so once again, what did we do? We subtracted the larger amount, which is the crown. We subtracted the eraser, and we received our answer of 3 inches. So basically, we subtracted the length of the eraser and of the crown. So on number 8 on your page, you would just put subtracted the length of the crown and we subtracted the length of the eraser from the length of the crown. Alright, so that is my number 8 here. here. Okay, on number 9, it asked you how much shorter is the eraser than the crown. And we showed you 2 different ways to subtract the eraser from the crown. And we learned that it was 3 inches shorter. Okay, it is 3 inches shorter. Okay, number 10. What is measured in the second measurement? So if you look back at your page, this is the second measurement. Measure it here. And here, instead of measuring both the crown and the eraser, it measured the distance of where the eraser stops to how much longer the crown goes to. Okay? So we measured the difference. I have to turn here. The difference between the lengths. Okay. All right, let's look at the talk about it. Kelly says that you cannot always use the method shown in the second measurement. Measure it. Do you agree with Kelly? And then tell me why or why not you agree with Kelly. Okay, well, I kind of agree with Kelly. You can't always use that method because in order to use the second measure it method, which is to line up both of my objects together and then measure the distance, sometimes if I have 2 objects I want to compare, then I can't always line them up side by side in order to measure it. Okay, it only works when you can line up your objects together. So I'm going to agree with Kelly. I agree. Okay, it only works if you can line up the 2 objects together. So this may work for some items, but it will not always work for others. Okay, let's try it. What I would like you to do is pause the video and I want you to try this problem on your own. When you have finished, come back and find out if you have correctly solved this problem. Henry has 2 paper clips. Circle the paper clip that is shorter. How many inches shorter is it? Please pause. Hey, welcome back, okay? Well, the first question was pretty simple. I'm pretty sure you got that right away. We have to circle the paper clip that is shorter. Well, obviously, looking at it, this is the shorter paper clip. Now, the other part, how many inches shorter is it? Which means I have to find the difference between my 2 paper clips. Okay, so once again, I'm going to have to measure both my paper clips. I'm going to start with the large paper clip. Remember to line up at the 0 at the edge of your paper clip. And I see that my paper clip is about 2 inches here. Now, the one in the book may be smaller due to the way it was printed, and that's okay. Then I'm going to measure my smaller paper clip, which looks it's about 1 inch. Now, in order to find the difference, or how many inches shorter this one is, I'm going to subtract 2 minus 1 equals 1 inch. Now, I know some of you want to try the other method. So you need to make sure that both paper clips are lined up evenly, and it looks like they are. Which means I'm going to measure the distance from the end of my first paper clip here, which so I'm going to put the 0 at the end of the shorter paper clip. And as you can see, my bigger paper clip goes to 1. So the difference between here and here is 1 inch, which is the same answer I got when I subtracted. That is all I have for today. If you need some more practice or want to follow up in your practice book, it will be on pages 209 through 210. Have a great afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow.